Okay, so yeah, hi, welcome back. So today, we're gonna do and play with this animation manager, right? It's pretty interesting tool, inbuilt tool, and very powerful tool if you know how to properly use it, right? So again, I wasn't much efficient on doing this animation manager, but I saw the tutorial, got to know okay, this is all is done. So here I am gonna show you, how you can achieve this animation manager with multiple animations, to be very honest. So in tutorial it only showed with one animation, so I'm going to show you with two animations, right? So you get a proper clarity, get to know the proper concept of how it's working, right? So yeah, so let's start. So what here the first thing we're going to do is again we're going to start the project, right? And once the project is started, the first thing what we need is we're gonna go to asset library, and going into the asset library, we're gonna go for search animation manager. Right. So I'm just typing animation and animation state manager. So I have already installed it. If you haven't installed it, you can get this import option over here. Just click here and it will get imported into the project in your asset browser. So let me just quickly bring it. So it's installed, so I just clicked and it got into my asset browser. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag and drop the state manager. So state manager is here, animation state manager is into a panel, right? What's the next step we want to do is again we're going to go to Mixamo, right? Mixamo, our beloved website, and we're gonna get some animations, right? So the first animation which we're gonna get, I have choose this character. You can choose any character which we have already discussed in the previous tutorial. Let's again, at the initial, it's gonna be idle, right? So initially it's gonna be idle, and let's go for this one, right? So this is gonna be our initial idle animation, right? And click, and again, don't forget initially we need it with skin, right? So I'm gonna click on download, right? And give it a moment to get it download, right? So we'll wait. Yeah, so it got downloaded, right? Now we need some other animations other than idle, right? Other idle, to which transition is gonna transition to, from idle to which transition, to which animation is gonna transition, right? So we're gonna let's search for a dance, then we're gonna take a combat role, right? So let's get a good dancing animation, right? So let's get this one, hip hop dancing, right? So yeah, so let's click on download, and this time we're gonna click without skin because we just want the animation. We already have the skin from the previous model, right? From the previous downloaded file, we already have it. We have the model and we have the animation embedded in the first animation. In the second one, we just need the animation so we can bring it to the model. And the second animation we're gonna get is of combat. Let's say combat, right? So now let's quickly get this one taunt, right? And let's download it without skill, right? So in total, we have three animations. One is going to be the idle, and from idle animation, it's going to transition to dancing animation, and from or it's either from idle, it's going to transition to combat one, right? So we got all of them. Let's click on the plus import, and let's get these three files into our project. Let's click on accept, let's click on accept, let's click on accept, and all these three will be imported into a project. Okay, so we have this hip hop, right? Let's unpack it. And I mean, the reason we unpack it so we can modify its material or any of these properties later on, right? I mean, I prefer doing it, right? So and for the sad idle, again, we're gonna unpack it. And for the taunt as well, we're gonna unpack it. Right. So we have unpacked all these three. You can see hip hop, side idle, and taunt. Okay. Now, since again we want the animations to be played in the real world, so again we're gonna add this world object controller, which we did in the previous project as well. So we're gonna come here, type world object controller, right? So let's type world object controller. Let's click on import, right? And yeah, so it's gonna come into your asset browser. Just drag and drop into the scene manage scene object. I think a team got do it again. So you see, this we have done. Next step is to actually add device tracker to the main camera. So it actually gets tracked with the camera, right? And yeah, it's getting tracked, and we can just delete this pair. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring the model into the world object controller. And remember, sad idle is the one with the model and the animations. We will drag and drop into the burned object controller, and there we go, pretty looking pretty cool, right? So you can play with this world object controller, bring closer, bring right, left, back, right? Yeah. So this is done, right? Now idle animation is pre-initial, and you see when you click on the sad idle, you can see the animation which is actually into the model. Okay. So you see, there's two clips you can see initially. Again, in Mixamo, when you download, there's initially two clips. The first clip you can actually take it down or delete it, and it will not impact to animation. It's just there for as a placeholder. Okay. And let's rename it to idle update. So this is the either way. Now, remember in the previous one, when we wanted to add more animations, we used to click and get animation player. So if you want three animations, we're gonna go on the three animation player, we're gonna add it as a component. But in this way, instead of adding more animation players, we want to add clips, right? Because you see in animation state manager, see there's this just one option of animation player, right? We can't add multiple animation players to one state animation state manager, right? So all the animations will be sitting in just one animation player component through while adding clips. So we click on clips, right? The next thing you'll do is let's click on this one. So this is dancing. So it's dancing, right? Cool. Right? Let's add another clip, and this is gonna be the boundary. And so you see, so what you are understanding from here, what we are understanding is the one with the higher number of clips has the priority over others. So clip 2 has a priority over clip 1 and 0. Right. So that is just general knowledge. Right. So yeah. And also, just set it to single so that it don't keep on looping infinite except for the idle, because idle is gonna be infinite until some action happens. Right? So other than that, other animation is gonna be single, so that when some trigger happens, then it goes from idle to that animation, and it makes that animation play once, and it comes to idle state. That's what we want, right? Instead of looping it for infinite times, right? So this is why we are doing it. So now, what next we need it, right? First, let's rename it properly. Well, let's rename it hip hop. Remember, it's case sensitive, right? So capital and small has to be matching in further projects, and this is gonna be toned, right? Pretty cool, right? So yeah. So what the next thing we're gonna do? See, we have multiple animations, right? So we have multiple animations. So we want to trigger it, but since I can't show many triggerings in behavior script which we have, so let me just quickly add behavior script first. Okay, so when we add behavior script, for trigger we have touch and face event as the main one. This is what you will be using majority of the time when it comes to this such projects, that obviously you won't be using interaction ends, animation, and tween ends for touch. And in touch there's just three options. So since we have two animations, we want some different trigger objects, right? So what I'm gonna do, different touch trigger objects. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on search a click screen image. I'm going to bring screen image into my project, right? Let me tell you what I'm doing. So what I've done, went to Figma and created just two images, right? So dance and combat, and you know So this will act as a button. This will act as a touch trigger, right? So the dance point, the first is gonna be the dance. So whenever we click on this image, dance will happen. Whenever we leave that image, the dance will end. That's what we want to make. Right? So let me tell you what's gonna happen, right? So let me just quickly, adjust its size, right? To let's make it a bit smaller, right? Yeah. Let's add another. Let's add another screen image because we have two animations other than idle. Brave. This is again for demonstrative purpose. It's not necessary for you to do, but if you want, you can do it because again, it's easy, to see it visually how to trigger different animations. The second one was obviously taunt, which was a combat one, right? So let me just quickly resize it. Also, making sure it's under safe render. And let's resize it. So what we want to do, see now, this is what we want to do. When I start tapping the dance image, it dances. And as soon as it take the dance, as soon as I stop tapping that dance image, it's gonna stop playing the animation and goes back to idle state. Similarly, when I press the combat, I mean keep on tapping it, it's gonna play combat, and as soon as I leave that image of combat, it's gonna go to idle state. So you see in behavior, when it comes to tapping, there's a tap, touch, start. So when we touch start on dance image, it's gonna start animating to a dancing animation. And when I touch end, it's gonna go to idle state. Similarly for combat, when I touch start, it's gonna play combat taunt animation, and as soon as I touch end, it's gonna go to idle state. Hope this is making sense, right? So because obviously, what I'm trying to do is get to know more about it. I could have like ended with just touch start thing or tap thing, but I just want to make sure it get the proper concept. So we're gonna also implement the touch end also to go back to idle, from idle to animation, from animation to idle, right? So yeah, now yeah, now here's the main thing begins, right? So let's click on create. So firstly, let's bring the animation player. Click here. This is what we want, right? And then make sure to click on create from clips, right? Because this is important because we want the clips to use, right? The reason we're clicking it because all these are clips. Clip 0, clip 1, clip 2. So yeah. So yeah. So we'll click on edit, this one, transitions first. Click on add one, right? And for entry, because firstly we want, whenever a scene loads, we want an idle to be running. You see, it's nothing happening. This just a T pose of the model. Now whenever the model enters into a scene, what we want the idle animation to play. So you see, as soon as I typed idle, it's playing, because this is what typing choosing the entry does. It makes your animation play as soon as the model loads, as soon as the lens loads, right? So this is done. Now we want to transition from idle to dancing. Let's implement this first, then we'll focus on combat, right? So so yeah, so for that, the first step is to actually add a state, right? Inside, I mean, not here, but click on in parameters, we want to add, right? So is dancing, let's name a function is dancing, right? And we want to set it to bool. Let me tell you why we are setting it to bool, right? So we'll come to that, right? So initially, this is dancing function is disabled. I mean, when the value is not checked, it's disabled. We'll uncover more of them in the upcoming few minutes, right? Why we are doing it. Now we go to behavior. Now what we want, how the animation gonna trigger. So as soon as the touch starts on the dance image. So where's the dance image? So this is the dance image, right? Let me just quickly rename dance image, right? Let's come here. let's drag and drop the dance image here. So whenever dance image that starts, what we want call object API. Yes. So this is like working with script and components. Okay. So and we're gonna choose the animation state manager. What was the name of the function? Is dancing, because we want the dance, right? Value one is gonna be string. Okay. So value one is gonna be string value, right? So yeah, okay. So just let me just quickly correct. This is not gonna be is dancing, right? So the first function name you see when you click on animation state idle in the asset browser, right? See, there's this whole description of about let me just quickly open Notepad and show. So this is like the whole documentation of the animation player manager, right? And there's many more, but what we are focused is this add parameter. So I'm gonna copy this add parameter. I'm gonna come to behavior. I will tell you what's happening once I once I set up this, right? And let me just quickly set up and let me explain what is happening, right? Yeah. And so this is function, right? Add parameter. Inside this function, there's this another function name is dancing, and we are enabling this is dancing. Okay. Just get to know about this as of now. Just this one. The next thing, what we want the transition. We'll click on this add value. And you see from specific state to specific state. So we want from idle to hip hop. Remember, it's case sensitive. So type it. So every key matters, capital or small, right? Yeah. And gonna click on add value, right? And is dancing. This is also case sensitive. Poly. Yeah. So see, as soon as I tapped, the animation started. If ends playing, right? I am tapping here, right? So what is happening now? Let me explain you what is happening here, right? Then you will get to know. Right? Now, this is the super important thing, right? For what we are doing is, you see, we added this is dancing initially, right? So this we are naming a function name is dancing inside the parameters, right? Inside the parameters, right? And it's bool. That means it's either true or false. Initially, it's set to false. Initially, the dancing animation is set to false. Initially, the dancing animation is set to false, right? So the dancing animation will not enable it, right? Now, what behavior is doing is whenever this dance image is getting clicked, whenever the touch start happens on this image which I made, right? What it's gonna do, it's gonna go to the comp and script component which is inside the animation state manager, and it's gonna firstly search for add parameter function. Now remember, we added is dancing inside the parameter, right? So is dancing is inside the parameters, right? So it's gonna firstly go and search for add parameter function which already existed in the API, right? So it's gonna go to add parameters. Inside add parameter, it's gonna search for is dancing, and it's gonna enable it. So when the trigger image is getting touch start, it's gonna go to search add parameter. Inside add parameter is dancing, which we defined, and it's gonna set it to true. And initially it was false. Initially it was false, right? So that animation is not played. But whenever the image is tapped, it's gonna set the behavior is gonna set this value to true, right? The setting is value to true. And whenever the value is getting setting true, but still how it's getting the dancing values, it's getting from here, right? So from idle to hip hop, it's gonna go in zero point 0.4 seconds, and the name of the function is dancing. So this is where this is the base is dancing, right? But this is getting called by this, and this is getting enabled by behavior script. Hope this is getting sense, right? Now let's create reverse. Now as soon as we touch end, it should go to idle state back, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna copy this, we're gonna paste this, right? We're gonna paste this, right? We're gonna paste this. We have pasted it. Okay. What we're gonna do now, as soon as the dance image is touch ended, it's gonna set its value to false. Simple. Isn't simple? Right. But still we have to do. Now we have to tell that to go reverse, right? We're gonna go to animation state manager. Now we're gonna add another add value. I'm gonna set from from hip hop to idle idle. Let's suppose in 0.4 seconds, right? In conditions, in the condition name is gonna be same. It is dancing, right? But this time, no, uh, this time it's gonna set it to false. This here we are setting it to true. Here we are setting it to false, right? So you see, amp image tapping, right? Touch has started, and as soon as a touch ended, remove from took my cursor far away, it came back to the idle state. Isn't this cool? This is how we are achieving it. So again, what is happening? The function is gonna be same. We've just reversed it and added is false. Reversed it and added is false. Right. Hope this is making sense. Let me quickly recap this. Right. How it's happening. Right. So we made we firstly made an idle to hip hop animation. It's gonna go from specific state, which state? Idle state to hip hop state in 0.4 seconds. The name of the function is dancing. And initially, right? And whenever this is called, set it true. Set it true. Right. And how it's gonna getting called? Because we have took this and added into the parameters is dancing, and initially its value is set to false. Now we want to enable this value in order to dance to get activated. And how we are enabling it? We are enabling it by through behavior script. So whenever that starts on the dance image, right? We're gonna go to parameters. Inside parameters, this function is dancing, and it's setting this value to true. So this value is getting true, and whenever this value is getting true, it's gonna call this one, the idle to hip hop in 0.4 seconds, and it's gonna set it to true. So as soon as the touch starts on the dance, it's animating. As soon as you remove it, it goes to idle. Now let's add another animation to get a proper clarity. So I'm gonna add in the behavior script behavior taunt. Let's bring it here, both of them. No, let's name it the second image taunt. Let's come in the behavior. It let's come in the behavior taunt. So when the touch starts, where? On the combat image, the taunt image. What we're gonna do is we're gonna call object API, right? And inside object API, we're gonna drag and drop the animation call function. Again, it's always set parameter, right? And now since we are setting this parameter, right, and we go to string, right, and we haven't defined the parameter of taunt yet. So let's first go to animation state, right? Inside parameters, we're gonna add another value is tone, right? And set it to bool. So it's initially disabled. We want it to get enabled, right? So is taunt, right? And but we want gonna go to bool and set it to true, right? So but still whenever I bring the cursor and click on the combat and touch starts, but it's nothing happening because we haven't defined the transition of animation yet. So go to animation state, click on add value, it from specific state. From idle, we wanted to go to, right, taunt. Remember, it's case sensitive, right? Here we defined its taunt, right? So it's is so taunt in 0.4 seconds, let's suppose, right? And here we're gonna name it is taunt, the same name which we added here. This one, the name should be same here. Stop, and it should be bool, and it should be is true initially, right? So whenever now I tab starts, you see the taunt animation is happening. No, it's not getting back. It's not getting back to idle if even I have stopped doing it because I haven't implemented it yet. So how we gonna do it, right? How we gonna do it? Again, firstly copy and just uh, and paste, and it's just touch and disable it. So it disables it, right? But still it's not going to do anything. See, it's not doing anything because we haven't still told it the reverse of from taunt to idle, right? We're going to go to animation manager, add another value from where we want. From taunt we want to go to idle in 0.4 seconds, right? And condition is taunt. It's gonna be same, right? And it's gonna be bool, it's gonna be is false, right? Yeah, that's it. Done. Whenever tap, combat is happening. Whenever took out, it goes to idle. That's it. We are done. Dance, it's dancing, goes to idle. Combat, combat. As soon as I take it out, it's happening. Combat, it's happening. As soon as I take it out, it goes to idle. Dance, it's dancing. As soon as I take it out, it's going back to idle. So this was the whole project. Hope you get to know, hope you understood things well. Right. So yeah, just let me know. Thank you.